Welcome to our weekly podcast. John Donovan, Marty Keller, and a very special guest today, Elizabeth Palmisano, who is coming to us from North Carolina, all the way from the Eastern time zone. John and I are here in California, as you know, and we'd like to just say thank you, Elizabeth, for joining us. This is our ongoing conversation about the power and usefulness of the accountability practice. And so we thought we'd start today, Elizabeth, by asking you what brought you here? How did you get hooked up into this accountability world?
Sure. Well, thanks for having me. I actually met John when I was helping him with creating a website and a logo for his business. So, and I, in having to create content to put in that website, became very familiar with the description of John's work, but I didn't really know John yet. But everything that I read was really interesting to me. Like, it perked my interest. I was like, what is this about? What is that about? And then I had the opportunity to have attend a workshop and then have sequential private sessions with John, where he walked me through Love Equals and the accountability tree. And I just have become quite the fangirl of John and his work. Everyone I know in my personal and professional life knows of John Donovan because I speak of him often. And completely working with John has completely transformed my life. And I'm grateful to have recently completed a 16-week course with John, and in hopes of just being able to share this information with as many folks as possible that want the information.
Yeah, and I had the opportunity to get to know you in that class as well. And so you said something that caught my ear, which maybe be a great place to start. You said that I heard you say, I don't know that's what you said, I heard you say that this work has completely transformed your life. So maybe we could start there. Transformation. What are some of the things that you've noticed that you would put in that category?
Sure. Well, I think, gosh, literally everything. So it's a long list.
You can just start with anything that jumps in your mind.
Okay, sure. Well, I was thinking like just specifically about the accountability tree, because Love Equals is the exercise that really was the catalyst for me. Is that okay is that on the table?
Yeah.
To discuss? Sure. Okay.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know, for anyone who's listening that doesn't know what in the world is Love Equals, John walked me through discovering my definition of what love is, like not the Webster's dictionary version, but like what's Elizabeth's personal definition. And so when I hear the word love, or when I'm feeling love, what is that? Which I discovered was sacrifice and suffering, that if I love someone, I sacrifice and I suffer for them, and I expect them to do the same for me, and that's how I feel love. And I had the opportunity to redefine love as acceptance and nurturing. And when I had the opportunity to access my subconscious and change that definition, it radically changed my life. It changed all of my relationships. I think most profoundly, my intimate relationships. I subsequently, my definition did not match up with my partner at the time's definition anymore. And so we ended up going our separate ways in as graceful of a way as possible. It wasn't like a sad, bad thing. We were released from a relationship that didn't work for us anymore. And then I had the opportunity to define, or had the opportunity to experience love in a nurturing way, in a place of acceptance, and also to be able to express it that way. Which, I mean, love is integral to every part of my life, professional and personally, from little small children that I work with to, teachers and adults and caregivers, and people who work in the nonprofit world. So it also has changed the scope of my work professionally, and how I facilitate and how I interact with folks, and my expectations around, like, if you say you love me, what does that mean? And then I'm like, let me pause for a breath there. So there's more.
Yeah,
but I'll keep talking if you let me.
that's well, no, I'm not going to. That's really awesome, and it's fairly, just as I listen to you share, it's fairly comprehensive in your life, from what I'm hearing. So maybe we could ask John to shed some light on that love equals experience from your perspective, as I certainly learned that from you as well, and I found that to be every bit as transformational, I think, as I heard Elizabeth say. And we haven't talked about this on the podcast for a while, so Elizabeth, I appreciate your bringing this up at the top. And John, maybe you could share a little bit for those who don't know much about what we're talking about here.
Okay. Do you remember what you had, Marty had love mixed up with, and then what you changed it to?
Yes, I had love equals I'm all alone.
Yeah.
And I changed it to love equals joy, peace, and freedom.
Right. And mine was love equals rejection. And then I changed it to love equals acceptance. And the way I got this information about what I had love mixed up with was I was, I don't know, 10, 12 years into recovery, and it wasn't working. My life wasn't working. And I had just had an argument with an ex. And during the argument, at one point, she said to me, "You want me to call you crazy." And then I said, "That's crazy. I don't want you to call me crazy." And then the argument went on. And it was one of those arguments where spit was coming out of both our faces. She said, "Okay, here it is, John. You're crazy." And I heard a little voice in my head say, "See, told you." And at that moment, I got it, that everything I was doing, everything I said, all my posturing, was to get her to call me crazy. And I got it. And it was like, she left, and I got mad at God. Said, "This is crazy. I don't understand this." I got the truth in it. I got what I was doing, and I didn't understand it. And I said, if I don't figure this out, the hell with recovery. Maybe next lifetime. And I was living by myself in a 1-bedroom apartment behind a strip mall, and there was a Stockman's Club, a bar there. And I said, "I'm going to go get hammered. I'm not doing this anymore. This is too painful." So I had the wherewithal to go into my apartment, put on a music tape, and do a meditation. Just so I was getting calm. And I thought to myself, in 12 steps, they say, forgiveness is where you start. So, okay, I'll do the noble thing. I'll forgive her. So I was in that meditation, and I'm saying, okay, I went to my safe place, that place where you just feel safe. And I said, okay, I'm here to forgive her. And then all my invisible means of support, you can call them angels, guardians, they started laughing. I could hear them laughing. And then I got mad again, and I said, "What? That's just what you're telling me to do, to forgive. I come here to forgive, and you think it's funny." And then the thought came to me, she didn't do anything to you that you did not ask her to do. And I thought, well, that's true. Oh my God. And then I heard, "John, you have love mixed up with rejection." And as soon as I got that, my whole life made sense. Everything in my career, my bank account, my relationships with my children, my relationships with the people at work, everything made sense, because I had gone through my life posturing like, "I'm not enough. Please reject me." They would accommodate me, and then I would blame them. Now, that really, when I got love equals rejection, I had done a lot of inner child work. So I knew the trauma I had come from. I knew the family of origin dysfunction I had come from. I knew some of the abuse that I had received. A lot of it was still in that dark place where I couldn't reach it. And based on how I was treated as a child, not enough, get that right. You didn't do that right. How come you're feeling this? You shouldn't feel that. And they said, I love you. And this is going to hurt me more than it hurts you. And then they smack or whatever they say. So I said, okay, if somebody loves you, they criticize and reject you. That got set into my subconscious because that doesn't make rational sense. And then I went through my life. At that time, I was, I don't know, 45 years old. And I thought I was a nice guy. I would do things, I would say things like, in a relationship, I bend over backwards to please the other person. And what I was really doing was bending over forward to get a kick in the butt. And they would do it for me. They'd oblige and if they didn't, I would make them so mad that they would. And then I'd go, see, told you. And when I got this and I changed it to love equals acceptance, it was like something washed through me. It was like a spiritual experience. I remember going outside, passing a wine barrel, half wine barrel full of flowers that I had walked by for 6 months. And the flowers caught my eye, took my breath. It was like, wow, look at these little guys. And there was like a canopy with these little flowers over the top of it. It was like I could see it, taste it, smell it, touch it all at the same time. And they were magnificent. I actually at that time looked around to see who was messing with me, who put those there. And I thought they would be laughing at me because that's what I know. I know that I get made fun of. And when I realized, oh my God, they've been there the whole time. Through the filter of rejection, I was unable to see what was actually there. And in my relationships, I just shift. I mean, things changed. I'm not saying I was all well and good. And I was in a different perspective to where I could make choice. I remember a couple of days after that, I was sitting, I lived behind a strip mall, so there was a coffee shop. And I was sitting at a picnic table having some coffee. And this woman I knew walked up and sat down, started talking to me. Well, before that, it would be, oh, we're in love. And then I watched myself looking at her, seeing the woman that was there instead of the woman I projected out there. And I heard myself say, no, I don't think so. In my mind, before it would have been, yes, we're in love. We're going to have babies together and we're going to like be grandparents and this was a shift. And then 6 years later, I was working with a young man in jail and I was having a hard time explaining the accountability tree, own your projections. And I heard myself say, what do you think you got love mixed up with? And he looked at me like, what do you mean? And then I told him the story. And I actually took him to an exercise. The exercise just popped out in the moment. And I said, current reality, what's your current reality? Well, I'm in jail, I'm addicted, my relationships in the toilet, my finances are in the toilet. Okay, that's a result of what happened to you as a child. And I asked him 2 questions. What was your experience with your mother between the ages of 3 and 5? And then he would talk to me. And I'd listen to him, and I could hear how he was conditioned to be a certain way. And then what's your relationship with your father? And he would tell me. And then I'd say, well, I'm going to go through a litany of things. You tell me which ones fit you. Love equals I'm a burden. Love equals I'm not enough. Love equals betrayal. Love equals, well, a burden is what coming to me. Love equals, one person had love equals death because both his parents died early. And he inside his subconscious, if he was in love, he knew the other person would die. And this is all subconscious. And he actually said that he never said, I love you to his partner and wouldn't let her say that back to him. He would say, we're real close friends. We're intimate, but yeah, we're that kind of friend. He would not say, I'm in love with you. And then I don't remember what he changed it to, and it doesn't matter. But as soon as he got that, and then he changed it, it was like this, things make sense. All the past things where I used to beat myself up for made perfect sense. And where I was, hold on a second, where I was now able to be discerning. And I'm going to go ahead and stop there. You may have a question or two.
Well, I wanted to ask Elizabeth if John's experience resonates with your experience in coming to this. Now, I'm assuming that you had the same kind of aha as you did this exercise.
Yes, and my aha continued to deepen when John shared with me the process to be able to facilitate for other folks too, and then it continues to even make more sense. I had the aha moment where I like felt that inner shift in my spirit, and I also have realized from my experience has been that love equals not only did all the things that John just shared for me as well, like as far as like, oh my gosh, like all of these things make sense, and this is what I've been calling in, and this is like what I've like all of it lined up, but also that it explains like not only what I'm asking for in receiving love, but how I express it, and also speaks to self-love. So like in order for me to practice self-love, I must suffer and sacrifice. So in order for me to like do anything for myself, it has to be hard, and I have to sacrifice in order to like do this nice thing for myself. So it wasn't just my interactions with other people, it was also towards myself, like, oh, practice self-love. Wow, God, that's painful. Like no wonder it was so hard to take care of myself. And also like, oh, I love my life. Yeah, my life is full of sacrifice and suffering, like, and being someone in community who's, you know, helping care for and serve other people. It's like, my family suffered in order for me to care for and love other people as well. So it just was like all aspects of love, not any one, every facet. But that experience also helped me understand and set me up to really believe right off the bat the power of the accountability tree, because when I had the opportunity to stop and examine that every aspect of my life that I had called in, like I'm the common denominator, I'm calling all of this in, was all in alignment with my definition in every single relationship in my life. I was like, I am one powerful entity. Like, look at all these things over all these years that I called in for myself. So it made me feel very like empowered. And I understand the power of tapping into my subconscious and informing my subconscious and empowering my subconscious with information and setting an intention. I have no doubt. I know I have the evidence. I need someone else to sell it to me, share it. Like, I don't need you to convince me. Like, I have my own proof, and it's a whole life. Well, my lifetime thus far at the time. I'm 37 now. I think I was 32, I think. Yeah. But you know, it's been 32 years. Like, I have all this evidence.
Yeah, I'd like to just share my own experience with you guys, because I get the persistence of this. Love equals. What I've come to understand is little Marty and his defense mechanism is not going to stop. He's not going to stop defending. And John said something about a month ago that really resonated with me. John, I don't know if you remember this, but you talked about the body chemistry of the family of origin, childhood dysfunction stance. And I've really become aware of that. In the last couple of weeks, I had a really emotional challenge with one of my closest friends, and I found myself not even wanting to be around him. And I thought, what is going on? This has got nothing to do with the other person. This is what I learned from accountability. So this is about me. And then I got it. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm recreating the body chemistry of my family of origin, where nobody honored me. And so what I was saying about my friend, he doesn't pay attention to me. He's always criticizing me. I can never do anything right. So no, I'm making him my dad. I'm like right back at home base. And so it's like, it made me want to step back and just utterly admire the power of human capacity. And it's my intention to harness that power consciously to create a world of joy, peace, freedom, and community. I don't want to isolate the little kid, the little guy. God bless him. He's a practitioner of this and he's not even aware.
Yeah.
And so accountability helped me become aware. Again, I think you said that, Elizabeth, about becoming conscious. These are my words, a conscious practitioner of this information, a conscious applier of this information to what's showing up in our lives. And for me, that's the transformative power of this. It's like it just has had it constantly gives me a renewed appreciation for this human that we are, and all of this deep complexities of psychological power and capacity to create. John and I talked about this once in the podcast about that who we really are as the creator of our lives.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm either going to create it unconsciously or I'm going to create it consciously, but I'm always creating. I think that's the basis of our principle. I'm always getting what I want.
Mm-hmm.
Because my desires are the engine of my manifestation.
Yeah, and those are hidden in our subconscious pool of information, and it's riddled with misinformation. And owning the truth, I had love mixed up with rejection, without blame or judgment. Just the statement. It like resonated with every aspect, every emotional frequency that set it there. And it was a validation of the information of what happened to me. It was like, yes, that happened to me. And that's something I couldn't do as a child, to express the hurt and the pain that I was in, because there was nobody to hear it, let alone I didn't know how to express it. So I stuffed it, owned it, and for me to survive, I survived my childhood. So this mechanism that holds this information is interested only in our survival, the fight, flight, freeze survival mechanism. So if it believes that rejection means I receive love or life, then it will produce it for me. It is on my side. It is a benevolent energy, highly misinformed, until I reframed or reinformed it. And it's still doing the magnificent creative, it still has the magnificent creative ability. Only now, when I got love equals rejection, I inserted in that feeling tone of awareness and acceptance that love equals acceptance, and that frequency fused with the trauma, the level, the intensity, the truth, and then simply set back down into my subconscious with this new directive. Love equals acceptance. Love equals kindness. Love equals nurturing. And automatically, I started perceiving the world differently. For me, it was instantaneous. Like I said, I got up off my meditation place, went outside, and experienced a whole different world. The trees were greener. See, now I understand when women say they get really excited about receiving flowers, because now I see what they may be seeing. It's like, I didn't see that before. It's like, flowers, cool, here's some flowers. It's like, yeah, they're red. No, it's like, oh my God. And it opened a whole new world for me. So.
Yeah, I'd love to say that it was instantaneous for me. I think it was instantaneous as a concept.
Yep.
I mean, I was in no denial about it. It's like, oh yeah, it's like I heard you say, think that my life started to make sense, and I've created this intention, and I still notice when that old energy, that the isolating, I'm all alone energy is still there.
Mm-hmm.
And the difference is I don't blame it. I don't judge it. It's like, it's now a catalyst for a restatement of what I want.
Exactly.
And I want to bring him along with me.
Yes.
Because I know that's what he really wants. He just can't, he doesn't trust it. love in my household kept coming and going. And so he just said, I don't trust you people at all to
Right.
deliver. So I'm all alone. I'll take care of myself. Screw you.
Yep. Wow. Oh, wow.
So Elizabeth, I heard you say in as you were sharing with us, you coming to work with John, that this had an impact not only on your personal life but also on your professional life. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. So I'm an advocate and an artist and an educator. And so I work with a lot of many different nonprofits. I write curriculum. My area of expertise is in early childhood development for children ages birth to 8. But I work
perfect
with
for this
children of all.
work.
Yeah. So it's really interesting because a lot of things that, like John, it was easy for me to connect with this information on the level of when I thought of it in relation to young children, because the organizations that I work with and the philosophy of education and care that I identify with is all about honoring children and respecting them as tiny humans. They are people. They happen to be young in their human experience, but like they have feelings, rights. We don't try to talk them out of their feelings. We want to validate them, and we judge actions as appropriate or inappropriate, not necessarily even good or bad. And we want to get to the root of their needs and help them meet their needs in an appropriate way. So it's just like, oh, so my thought was, oh, so just treat adults like we treat little children when we use best practices. Okay, makes sense to me that this would continue. But it changed. I think the first thing right off the bat for me that it changed was when my definition of love changed. I was able to see that there were people in my life, mentors of mine, the boss, that really loved me, that I couldn't receive their love and their guidance because they didn't demand any sacrifice or suffering from me. And when that changed, I started to realize, like, wow, there's some folks in my life who have really, they really do love me. And so I shifted back and leaned in deeper to allowing them to love me and to accept me, to nurture me. And just kind of I was able to let go and be a student and be guided, and I wasn't as guarded too. So that changed my relationships at work. And then also all of this language and then being able to share my personal experience with other people who work with children or work with teachers who teach and care for children or youth has been amazing, because what I have come to understand is that we can't, I can't give what I don't have. So if I'm working with young children, if I'm working with youth, and the person mentoring me is like, listen, I want you to treat them with unconditional positive regard. I want you to create a space of safety. I want you to listen to children and treat them with the same dignity and respect you would an adult. If my experience as a child was that I am to be seen and not heard, I need to be compliant, I can't comply with my mentor who's offering this is how we work with young children, because it's going to challenge my inner beliefs. It's going to challenge my experience and the way I view my parents and my caregivers from my childhood. And so if I want to improve the lives of children, then I have to help or I have to offer this information so that teachers can process that for themselves first, that they can walk through their experience so that they can offer that to children. And when I try to skip that step, I'm asking a fish to fly. And that's not fair. I'm asked, because all the time with young children, I'm like, let's not ask them to do something they're not capable of doing. I need to have the same, it goes the other way, I need to have the same dignity and respect for extend that to the adults that I work with. It's not fair for me to ask you something that you're not able to do. it's not going to work, and it's not going to be your fault, and it's not you being willful. It's that you don't have the tools that you need. And so that is where my focus is now, is if I want to affect as many young people as possible, it's really about offering this information to the folks that are their guardians, their caregivers, their teachers, their educators, so that they can offer it. And that's how I feel I'm being called to be of maximum impact in my communities.
One of the things that we've been looking at in our Rusty Nail Club meetings recently has been trying to find other words than love when we discuss this work that we're doing. And the reason that we do is, I think similar to what I was hearing you say, is that if I say I love you and you say you love me, each of us has an understanding of that may not be the same. And if we then walk down the path of this conversation, this connection with each other with a misunderstanding, we're not going to end up in a place of intimacy and connection. And so I think it comes from honoring the fact that each of us has this unique experience of our own, and that in order for me to really be open to you, I choose to seek to understand what you know love to be, and then see if we can find ways to communicate that with each other that is mutually agreeable. Because other than that, I don't know, I can't tell you how many calluses I have on my head from butting against people I loved and who loved me, and we didn't get it. We didn't get each other because I thought that when you said you loved me, that you loved me the way I would want it.
Yeah. And as I was going through my recovery and coming to awareness, I would hear people say that were in relationships, how they would explain this is, oh, we weren't brought up the same way. And somebody brought up to be like work hard on the weekend. The weekend's the time to clean the house and do everything. And then somebody else brought up in a family where the weekend was time to like lay around and have fun and relax. And those two people get together and the weekends are hell, because they say, well, this is how, we're supposed to be. This is how we're supposed to be. And they just don't match up. And, what I've come to realize is that when I remember the arguments I got in with whatever partner I was with at the time, the argument could have been around money, could have been around, you did this, I did this. And what we were both screaming is, I love you. We were at extreme decibels. That was the message behind you don't, or whatever the argument was I love you and I want you to love me. And it's like, we were both saying the same thing, and yet we didn't have the language, nor did we. I didn't know that I had love equals rejection, and she had love equals criticism, and we were a perfect match. And yet this is a miserable place to be, because neither one of us know what's going on. Eckhart Tolle said, when two people are in a conversation, they think there's two people, them and the other person. What's really in that conversation is me, my wounded child, her wounded child. So there's four people talking in this conversation, and it gets convoluted really quick, chaotic and dramatic, and it's a mess. So
well, and then it gets complicated when you go into your professional world, where there's more than one other person.
Absolutely.
That you're working with.
Yes. I was going to say that this love equals exercise can be used with money equals, work relationships equal, career equals, friendship equals, because we all have a concept of what that means. And even if I come to and am now aware that to me love equals acceptance, when I say acceptance, there's a different tone, quality, experience behind the word that is only mine. I'm the only one that has this picture of that word. And when I hear somebody else say it, what I now understand is they have an experience and concept behind their word. And so I attempt in the dialogue to bring these two pictures close as we can get them together. We can never make them the same, which I now see as a benefit, because in my relationships before, I wanted us both to be the same, be on the same page, have the same values. No, it's not possible, because we come from two different places. Even my brothers have I have three brothers. They have three experiences of my family of origin that does not match mine. And I can now honor their perception, what happened to them, how they saw it, and be with them without them thinking they're calling me a liar. Because they're not. That was their experience. So, yeah.
I come from a family of 6, and I can verify I have the exact same observation. We would get together during family reunions, and my brother would say, "Hey, do you remember when we did blah blah blah?" And I'll go, "What? We did what?" And my other brother will go, "Oh yeah, we did this," and my sister will go, "No, this is how it happens." Like,
Yep.
wow.
Yeah.
And I'm not even talking about emotional resonance here.
Yeah.
I'm just talking about, little things like my brother would say, "What time did we all get up to go to school? There were 6 of us. We had one bathroom. How did we do that?"
Yeah. So
Elizabeth, again, I love that you said that this has been transformative to you in all aspects of your life. Maybe there's some other things that you can share with us that in which you observe this, particularly with an eye to people who are watching this for the first time, and they're listening to us talk, and they're going, "What are you guys talking about?"
Oh gosh. Well, my mind went to one thing, and I was like, oh, folks who might be new to this.
We'll go for whatever.
Well, I was going to say, for me, I know that this information came to me when I was in a space of I was seeking self-awareness. I wanted to know more about myself. So I was open to the information. And I feel like sometimes, well, I'll think of it from the perspective of offering it. If I'm offering information to someone, maybe they take it, maybe they receive it, maybe they reject it. It's not up to me to make either of those things happen. But I have noticed that one of the schools that I work with, we do assessments on all of the children to see where they are developmentally, to screen for potential developmental delays or disabilities, so that we can get children help they need early for early intervention. And sometimes when you offer this information to a parent, they don't want to hear you. And they might become so angry that you even suggested. It doesn't matter how kindly you say it. It doesn't matter if there's no shame, no judgment, you're just here's what's going on. And it doesn't matter. They're not ready to receive that information. And sometimes they will become so angry that they will pull their child from the program and take them somewhere else. But many times we have had, when that's happened, we've had that same family come back later on and say, "Hey, listen, I wasn't ready to hear it when you told me. And I wasn't ready to hear it when the next school told me, or the next. But the 4th time, I was ready to hear it." Or it might be someone else, or the 2nd time. Sometimes we are the catalyst for a gentle opening. We've planted the seed, or we've watered it a little. And I think that if this makes no sense, it might make sense later when you hear something coupled with something else. But I also think that I like to think that if folks come across this information, that they're probably ready. And so that was the case for me. When I was reading this description of things that I was typing onto John's website, I was like, I don't know what this means, but I want to know more. And that that this information is it's for me. Everything that I do with this information is for me. And I understand that when I show up to take care of me, because I know there's only needs and story I know. I know my perspective. I'm in my body. I know my experience. I personally lived it. that I am in a place of power, and that when I show up in that authentic space, that magical things happen that I couldn't have planned for. I facilitate something because it's the workshop I need to attend. I say something to someone else because I need to hear it. Whatever it is that I'm putting out, there is someone else like witnessing, and they will receive it, whether it's so they can reject it or they can accept it or they can become curious. It doesn't matter. Like, I feel like when I'm showing up in that space, like, things are working as they should. So coming across this information, like, could be for any number of reasons. But it's I guess it's kind of that sentiment of like, the people who are supposed to be in the room are the people who show up. So if you're here, there's something in it for you, right? It's and the information itself has helped me lean into that for myself and know that that's true, and take all of the pressure off to perform. Like, I don't have to perform being Elizabeth. I can just be Elizabeth. Like, that's not hard. That's the only job I really have that I've been given, and I'm really good at it.
Well, nobody's better.
But I can't be John. I can't be John. I can't be Marty. Like, I can't be someone else.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this: as you began to work with the material, were there things that you found more difficult than others, or more puzzling than others?
I think I continue to be surprised. So I was, okay, I want to be very careful to say, I'm not going to share somebody else's story. But I do want to share, like, my reaction to what someone else said. So I was in, I don't know if you call it like a class, John, your Saturday group, but, and I witnessed something where someone was speaking about the desire to die. And that resonated for me, and everything that they shared resonated for me. And I was very much like leaning in, like, what's John gonna say? And through, again, not sharing their story, but for me, my takeaway was that being in a really dark place and giving myself permission to want to die, or want to sit with that, those feelings, like that was acceptable, that I could feel terrible, and that, like, I didn't have to judge that as wrong or bad. And I had an experience. It made me think of an experience that I had not long ago. I had something really traumatic and terrible happen in the fall, and it put me in a place where I was experiencing feelings that I hadn't felt or dealt with in a long time. I hadn't had any feelings of depression, anxiety, suicide, or self-injurious inclinations since I started working with John. And I was not expecting to ever feel that way again in my lifetime. Very naively, like, oh, I'll never feel like that again. And I felt defeated, like I had failed some sort of test, or like I wasn't doing it right, or I wasn't applying this information correctly. But John walked me through basically going inward into my own self, and pushing past that darkness that I was, like, afraid to experience, like the fear, the hopelessness, the depression, all of that, to, instead of like trying to push it away from me, to lean into it and like really feel it fully. And I was very like resistant and afraid, and like, what's gonna happen if I like lean into these feelings? And I feel like this may sound crazy, whatever. This is my experience, so it's my truth.
Yeah.
When reaching the bottom of that deep, dark place, and my eyes were closed, and I'm someone that when you're speaking to me, like, I'm visualizing everything you're saying. Like, if you said, like, yesterday I got a kitten, then immediately I'm visualizing you getting a kitten. So I'm visualizing being in this dark place within myself. And when I got to the deepest, darkest place, in my mind, eyes closed, I'm like looking around, and it was the most quiet, peaceful place I've ever been. And it was so terrifying to push down through to that. But once I arrived, like, I'm not going to fight all of these feelings. I'm just going to lean into them. I realized and knew in that moment that I had entered a space where if any intention that I spoke in that moment, I knew was going to come to pass. Like, and I am certainly not God, but I feel like it made me feel almost like how it's like, you know, like, let there be light. Like, it's like whatever I spoke in that space, like for myself, I knew was going to come to be.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
However, it scared the crap out of me because I felt like a genie, like a bottle with a genie in it, and I had 3 wishes. I was like, oh God, I don't want to ask for the wrong. What do I ask for? This is too important. So I have been sitting with that, and I know that I can access that space again. And so right now it's kind of like sitting with like, well, what do I want? Like, what is on my spirit? What do I feel called to do? Like, this is important, but just continuing to like understand how powerful, the power that we carry within us, everyone, that we're born with this ability, and little children understand that, but we, you know, lose that over time, whether it's beaten out of us, shamed out of us, or, you know, just like peer pressure and like the other people are doing this and life and just our society as a whole. But I know that I am not unique in my experience or having that thing within me to have the ability to set an intention for myself. I know that every other human being on this planet has that within them. And that has changed the way that I look at other people. Now, when I look at someone else, it doesn't matter their life circumstances, I know they're carrying that within them too. And it has brought a deeper level of respect and appreciation for other human beings here on this planet.
Mm-hmm.
But I continue to wrestle with like knowing it, and then like, I still, you know, it's like, I know now, I really know. I'm like, okay, you know, so what next with this information? It is an ongoing journey. I'm coming to a place where I'm accepting that. So.
Yeah, we were taught as children to avoid the feeling, whatever the feeling was we were having, and comply for our survival. In other words, be a good kid instead of feeling angry or irritated or agitated. I watch my grandson go through these feelings when he's not getting what he wants, and I simply say to him, "Oh, I see you're feeling frustration," and he'll tell me, "No, that's not what it is," and I say, "Okay, I see maybe he do something else," and I say, "Well, I see you're feeling anger." And I said, "It's okay. You can be angry, you can be frustrated," and stay with him, and then watch him process through these. He doesn't hear what I heard and what a lot of people hear. That's not okay. You're being rude. You're being a brat. Don't do that. You're selfish. Grow up. All these admonitions, I guess they're admonitions to be someplace other than where you're at. And then the feeling of being alive. Now, that's a wide range. Most of mine are feelings of connection and or safety. And there's things that happen to us where that is all shattered and we're terrified or devastated. And the last place that little child wants to go is into that devastation. And if you can, just like, this is terrifying. Yes, I want to validate. This is terrifying. Just drop into that. And what Elizabeth explained is through that feeling, through that self-validation, is what I need to be proactive and feel validated. And then when you describe that quiet place, that's that, I think it's the call Jesus had to that peace beyond all understanding, because that place was beyond anything I ever could imagine. I could go, and especially to the place I went, which is into what I call darkness or devastation or complete terrorized. So I ran out of words, so I'm good. It's like, wow, yeah.
what popped into my mind as you were sharing, John, is that this experience is available. This is what I love what you said, Elizabeth, is I'm sorry, what I heard you say was that you can go back to this place. And so once we've penetrated that and we survived, and what you said earlier was that you're still being surprised. And I think that may constitute one of those great surprises, that we can go into what feels like a dangerous, dark place and discover light. And discover light not necessarily as a theoretical thing, but as an embodied experience of, you said earlier, power. It's like, I have the power to do what I want to do. And before I went there, I affirmed I didn't have the power to do what I want to do. And like, who would have thought that the liberation is in what seems to be a prison? And it's not. But this is what we have to go through to. This is the hero's journey, right? This is classical. This goes back all the way to the Greeks and the early myths. You got to go into the darkness to find the light. Maybe they knew what they were talking about.
Maybe they knew what they were talking about. I want to mention one thing for Elizabeth and for probably a lot of people who are listening. That Aladdin lamp story, you know, the genie, you rub the lantern and you get 3 wishes. No, you get as many wishes as you please. I don't know who wrote the story and limited it to 3. I don't know if it's I don't know, but it's not true. It's like, you find that lamp, you find that place, it's all yours and forever. You can keep just making them and adjusting and going and going. So that's it.
Thank you, John.
Yeah,
Yes.
you're welcome. It's like, yeah, you're not going to run out. It's like, it's not going to run out.
I think it's just that my hesitation, and this is the thing I'm working on leaning into, is that you know, one of the intentions that I set last year for myself was to experience a peace that passes all understanding.
Oh wow!
But yeah, so that was that, right? And I did.
Yeah.
But I definitely experienced something horrific in the process to getting to that. Now, I'm not saying that I called in something terrible and it's my fault, but it did require walking through in order to, or that's just how it unfolded. So I think
Yes.
it's just like, it feels like a lot of like, do I really want enlightenment? Do I really want this peace? Do I want that end result, but like, do I want to walk through? Do I want to go through the stages and steps of self-awareness? Sometimes self-awareness is really painful. Experiencing my feelings instead of intellectualizing them, because that's what I tend to do. I don't deflect, I don't disassociate, I intellectualize. You know, is painful. It's painful to be sad. Like,
yes.
So am I ready to sign up for that? And if I'm not ready, am I willing to want to be ready, or am I willing to be you know what I mean? Like, it feels serious. Like, these aren't just words. This is serious. And am I sitting in the weight of what I'm asking for?
Right.
And that's just me, my experience personally. Just speaking for
you know,
Elizabeth.
that is also concern I used to have, and I don't know if it was Eckhart Tolle, somebody I was listening to said that pain is a teacher, and it does not have to be. So I see us moving into the age of Aquarius, where we're at in the galaxy, the different, I don't know. What I see us moving into is the capacity to receive our lessons in joy. And that's been my experience, because I've been to that dark place, that place I never wanted to go. Owned a character defect, or owned an action I had done that was demeaning, diminishing, humiliating. And then now I can reach that place by different means. It's like going into a feeling that's in my body of discordance or concern or feeling of inadequacy, and just noticing the feeling. And it's comparatively light, and yet the understanding and the insight is brighter. It's like, wow. So yeah, a lot of the people, and I'm going to get cosmic on everybody right now, that are on the planet have been here before and experienced the pain of being a healer, being a medicine woman, being a spiritual person, because back in years ago, that wasn't understood. So we did go through being burned at the stake, or being stoned, or being chased, tarred and feathered, and that is changing, so that we can now express, and it's receivable. We're coming to a new place in our development, as I don't know how to say it. So yeah.
One of the things that I brought to accountability, I had this conviction before I met you, John, and this is in alignment with something I heard you say, Elizabeth. It's that I believe every one of us came to this planet wanting what you just talked about. I believe everybody that I meet, even the ones that are the most angry and frightened and reactive, are still, that's just a version of, how do I get to know who I really am? How do I get to be who I really want to be? How do I get to that spot? Every one of us wants that. And I think my experience is, and Elizabeth, I'd love your thoughts, is when you're working with little kids, that's right there on their, that's just on their faces. I mean, that's a little kid's curiosity is exactly what that is. And we all have that, no matter what's been layered on top of us in the intervening years. Even somebody 90 years old wants to taste the truth of who he or she really is.
Yeah, definitely small children who have not experienced trauma are just little balls of light. And some, even if they have, it's, you know, but I mean, it has been my experience that, you know, one of my favorite classrooms to go into is the infant room. You know, if I'm having a rough day, I'm like, give me the baby, hold the baby, because they just literally live for joy and human interaction. You know, they just want to see you smile at them, and they want to smile back at you. And it's beautiful. You know, children, you know, they sing, they dance, they make music, they are free, they wear whatever they want, and they don't care if you think it's strange that they're wearing, you know, half their Halloween costume for 6 months. Like, they don't care. They are 100% themselves, and they are here to have a good time.
Yeah.
So, and I find it really healing to be in a space with young children and be able to just sit and appreciate and be in that space. Like, I'm not a teacher. I'm not even necessarily a facilitator. Like, I am, like, we are exploring together. We are curious about things, and we are going to try things out. Like, almost like we're scientists in our lab, and we're going to, I wonder if this will work. I don't know. Let's find out. That feels so pure and beautiful, and it's accessible to everyone. But it's like, for me, it's like one of those things that's like right in front of our face, but we don't know that the thing that has the capacity to light us up and light them up and bring this joy is the same thing that, like, we find, like, it's annoying. Like, it's like, oh, stop bouncing around, you're making a mess, like all of those things, like that you're like, we're literally brushing away this like beautiful gift. And so I hope that folks will consider taking a moment to consider that. I did also want to say, like, kind of a little bit of a tangent here, but I think it's really, for me, it's really important to say out loud that everything that I shared about Love Equals and my experience, I am in no way suggesting that it is ever anyone's fault when they experience trauma and violence and abuse and things like that. Because I do believe sometimes those things can be kind of twisted where it sounds like, what are you saying? Like, I called in someone, you know, physically abusing me or harming me. Like, I am not saying that. And I just wanted to say out loud that it's a much longer conversation, but I just wanted to say out loud that I am not suggesting that in any way, shape, or form.
Right. Very good. Thank you, Elizabeth. Yeah.
Well, we're coming to end of our time together here. And Elizabeth, before we wrap things up, I'd just like to ask if you have any last minute thoughts, or is there something that you wanted to say besides what you just did that now's the time to put it out there?
I have, of course, have no control what folks are going to do with this information, but I do, for anyone who's listening, I want to invite them to follow their curiosity. And if they feel, you know, if you feel curious about the information that you've heard today or in any of the material that's been offered in previous podcasts or John's work, to ask questions, to lean in. I think sometimes it can be scary to reach out when you don't even necessarily know what you're asking, and that's okay. You don't have to understand why you want more information. It's okay to ask.
Thanks, Elizabeth. We actually just added to our Rusty Nail Club, which is the accountability practice meetings that we do here in Sacramento. We added a new principle, and that is, it doesn't have to make sense.
Oh,
I love it. I love it.
So thank you, Elizabeth. I appreciate your joining us, and I hope we can do this again. And
My pleasure.
As always, John, leave the last word to you.
yeah. I'm thinking. I'm trying to remember what the opening paragraph when I mail out my Zoom or do the introduction to the Saturday morning meeting. This is a group for people experiencing disempowering attitudes and behaviors and or obsessive or compulsive behaviors that they don't seem to be able to change, or feelings of isolation. And if anybody's experiencing any of those, please come to a group, check us out. You can observe, you can sit back, you can blank your screen, you could just listen. You don't have to participate, and listen to the information, see if it resonates. And if it resonates, come back and or start talking to us in the group. So yeah.
Thanks, John. And so for anybody who would like to check out any of our accountability practice meetings, at the end of the podcast, there'll be John's email and my email address. So just shoot us a note and we'll be happy to send you the Zoom link information. There's meetings Monday nights and Thursday nights at 6:30 Pacific time. There's a Tuesday afternoon meeting at 4:30 Pacific time, and John's meeting is Saturday mornings at 8:30, all Pacific time. So we'd love to have you. It's all on Zoom, and as John said, you don't even have to join on video. You can call in if you don't want to be seen. That's no problem. Just happy to have you with us. So thanks again, Elizabeth, for joining us. John, as always, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And we'll see you at the next one.
You got it.
Take care.
Thanks.